Hi guys, we're down in Watchet Somerset today. We're down visiting Stuart and his fantastic knife and hatchet creative craftsman skills, along with some of his excellent bowmanship. So we're going to go over now, see Stu and what's been going on this last couple of weeks. Hi guys, Mark here, Celtic Crossbows. I'm down here today down towards Cornwall, south end of the country, with one of the guys who'd done some beautiful knife work for me earlier in the year. Stuart, I don't know if you remember, on the new blog I started on Show Us Yours. Now, I'm going to go through some of the beautiful craft work now that Stuart has been producing over the last several months since I first met the guy. So, starting with his beautiful axe work now at the top of the table, we're going to go through now with some of the things. This first axe we got here now, do you want to talk us through some of the process you involved with creating this axe?
This one was quite easy because, like I said, I haven't altered the head myself greatly, other than shallowing the grind down. Because I've been last year I was building an Iron Age roundhouse. Funny enough, for somebody, I needed an axe that was slimmer for working wood rather than chopping wood and clearing. And basically, you've got a Kent pattern hatchet handle that's had the grind taken back a little, and then I put a full length ash shaft on it and just dyed it down and then beeswaxed it to protect it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like I said, you can feel the weight in the head.
Yeah. It's a very lightweight working axe, rather than hewing.
Yeah, it to me feels like good. It's like for more shaping wood.
Yep, limbing, debarking, and shaping and flattening, planking, things like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now we're going to come and look at this one now. This is more of your Viking style axe. What material we use on the handle on this one?
That one's a hazel handle.
Okay.
And it's got a cedar wedge in it.
Okay.
And that was more...
So that's this line running down through here, down the centre of the handle.
Yeah.
Okay.
That holds the head once you've hung the head. And that was more of it's a poor man's Holterfor's small forest axe is what it is. It's a jack of all trades. You know, I mainly use it for limbing and while I'm hedging and things like that, really. But yeah, you don't need to spend the money on something like a Holterfor's or a Gransfors Brooks that is a trade name. You just, if you have the grind right on the axe, making the handle yourself, and then it's custom made for you rather than approximately fitting.
Now we got this one here, and I'm going to bring this into the camera. It's got a beautiful some beautiful leather handworking on the sheath of the hacks. I don't think so, folks. It's an axe, not a hacks. I haven't got my teeth in, so you're gonna have to forgive me on this one. So we're gonna open the sheath up to show you on here. Okay. So we can see here now, we've got a beautiful grind on the blade. I mean, she's beautiful. She is really nice. How did you come about the design for this one?
Well, that one, a local smith made the head.
Okay.
Again, I didn't have to play with the head, unlike what the smaller belt axes you'll see in a bit. So this one I'm going to rehandle myself, because at the moment it's on hickory tomahawk handle from Cold Steel.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to change that round because I'm not happy with the fit, and I'd like it looking a bit more vintagey. But it's a good general use axe, aside from the fact it looks very sort of Viking Saxon shaped head, which is what I wanted, which is what he made for me.
It is. It has that very medieval appearance to the actual cut and the back grind on the head of the casting. It's a beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really nice shape. I just haven't quite done it justice. That's a working handle, but I want a pretty handle on it as well. Not that I'm not going to work with it, but I'd like it to be both. Yeah,
because it's when you in a two-handed grip, you can really feel the control you've got from the head. I really like that. That's nice. I do really like that. I just want to carefully put the head back in, because these are razor sharp, folks. I shaved my beard with one earlier, and I nearly took my head off. It was like a scene from The Walking Dead. Okay, coming now, we got one of the what you describe as a combat axe.
Yeah, it's a hand axe, a tomahawk, or
A tomahawk.
a
Yeah.
tomahawk you'd call it if you're in North America, but it's a hand or a belt axe here in Europe. That one is actually cut down from a larger Kent pattern head.
Okay.
So basically keeping it as cool as you can while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You cut the shape with a grinder. Obviously this has got a peen as well as an axe head, but it was this shape, which is the traditional English hatchet shape, which is called Kent pattern.
Okay, so that's with the rounded shoulder at the back.
And the spade shaped blade.
Right, okay.
Now that is more of a sort of a, well, trade axes that used to go to America were like that, which became tomahawks, but when they left Sheffield and Manchester and Birmingham, they were called hatchets.
Right, okay, okay. So in this area on the back of the axe head, what would this be described as here? Because I don't know.
Well, I've heard it locally. It's called a peen. I'm sure there are other names for it. But it's for hammering with.
So that is what you was referring to as the peen. Now, it shows my education, folks, on weaponry. I thought it was actually the piece in there to put a lock in the head in. So okay. So we've had a look at some of the Stuart's excellent axe work now. What we're going to do is now we're going to come across now and have a look at some of his beautiful knife work. And I kid you not, folks, it is absolutely stunning. You don't want to miss this. Stay around. So we're going to start it from right to the left. From the right hand side, we're going to have a look at this beautiful, and I mean seriously beautiful, laminated, what do you call it, a paring knife, Stu?
Well, it's just made of a little sort of hand knife, so I suppose, sort of either a fisherman's knife or a skinning knife, or, you know, it's just a handy small knife. The blade used to be, again, another slaughterhouse knife that was worn away to all hell. I think it was a breezer, and I cut it down. The laminate wood actually comes from a place locally that customised Land Rovers. It was an offcut from a Land Rover dashboard.
No way.
Was being made, yeah. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the company, but I found that in their skip, so I thought it would make a nice handle.
That's gorgeous.
Just a nice little, I don't know, pocket knife.
Yeah, it's something like a nice pear knife, where you do oranges or something like that.
Yeah, anything.
It's something he's peeling quick. And he's got a cute little kydex sheath with it as well. So I really like that.
Yes, the missus likes that one because it's pretty.
Yeah. Okay, the next one we come on to.
And this is a little bushcraft knife I made for Mark. The handle was a diver's knife. Sorry, the blade was a diver's knife.
Okay.
That again is cut down, so it's 440 stainless. The bolster is a piece of scrap aluminium, and then it has olive kydex and leather spacers and a white oak handle. That
Wow.
The oak comes from a copse locally. I gather all the wood myself and season it here. I don't like paying for anything. But yeah, a nice little bushcraft knife, really, that one. And again, it's just the right length as a skinner.
Yeah, it is. When it's in your hand and you're holding it there, that is in just the right. Put me as just the right place. When you're coming in to control it.
Yes, we have a lot of mink down here, so I've ended up skinning a fair few of those out rather than anything else. And I find a knife that if you can hold it in your hand and the tip of your finger reaches the point, then you can protect anything when you're skinning it and avoid puncturing the blade, puncturing the skin.
Fantastic. Okay, that's the next one, be. Now this one, folks, if you're watching this is an absolute beauty. Now, first of all, I thought it was, you're going to correct me now, because I know I'm going to be wrong, but to me, I thought it was possibly walnut or mahogany.
Oh, actually, it's blackthorn.
Oh, right, blackthorn, okay.
That's a little commemorative knife, really. The ferret I'd had for the most years went a few weeks ago, and he's the sire of all my ferrets, and that piece of wood was his step to get in and out of his cage. So I thought, I'm going to make that into something to remember him.
Oh, that's lovely.
And It's mainly that colour because of the oil from the ferret climbing up and down it several times a day over a period of 10 years, and the oil has sent the wood that colour.
Do you know, this is really such a nice sentimental piece. I love it. This is the kind of thing which is so, you couldn't replicate this if you tried.
No, that's my knife, and that comes when I'm working. That's with me. When me and the girls are out ratting, or I'm out with the rifle having a mooch, that's the knife I take with me.
Wow, like I said, in the finish on the blade, that is super. Okay, wrong way round. No, the right way. Okay, the next one we got coming up, guys. Beautiful little Kydex sheath with beautiful brass screws and inserts in the back. I just love that itself. And the blade is probably, what do you say, 2.5 inch?
2.5 inches on that one, yeah.
2.5 inch blade.
Which, to be honest, I find perfectly adequate for most things. You know, I do a fair bit of hedging. I do quite a lot of borderline farm work, you'd say, coppice clearing and things like that. And it's the right size. It does everything you need to do. Again, it's short enough to be a good skinner. It's got plenty of belly in it, so it cuts nicely. Yeah,
and you've got the thickness of the blade. Yeah, it's it's got to be around about 3.5 mil, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's 3.5 mil. Yeah.
And it's a really.
And that was a large, the largest size Sabatier chef knife that one of the chefs at the local holiday camp had managed to snap in half, levering frozen stuff apart.
Wow.
So I souvenired the blade immediately, or what was left of it.
And tell us, Stu, what's the different laminates as we come through the grip?
Right, okay, you got three level washers, which I always find when you're building a knife and you start out, if you're going to start, use a few level washers in between your handle and your bolster. And when then you fit the handle, if any of your cuts aren't quite level, then the lever will soak up that little minute difference, and everything will, because it's some give in it, and everything will then sit level. And then underneath that you've got a band of white oak, and then a little bit of curly birch. Oh,
so this is actually birch on the rear end. That's beautiful. I'm going to bring this up the camera now, as you can have a look, guys. The grain is such an unusual grain. It's a marbling effect, which I not quite like anything I've seen before. That is such a unique little knife, and again, it's something you could use every day. Put it in your pocket, put it in its sheath, and it's something which slipping into your pocket you can never be without. It's beautiful.
That is most of mine are, well, all of them apart from the larger ones, are designed just to go in your pocket.
Yeah.
Because obviously I do a lot of pest control work and things like that, and knives hanging off your belt, it's not a thing you can do anymore.
No, it's UK knife laws at the moment have gone quite crazy.
Even in the countryside, someone.
But you guys are watching in America, what you don't realise is, let me just pick the camera up a second. Okay guys, what you guys in America don't realise is, even something which you consider to be a toothpick from the UK, in the UK, even a Swiss Army knife, most of them are illegal in the UK, because they contain things like a lock on the blade, or anything like this. Anything 2.5 inches over with a lock on the blade, or under 2.5 inches today with a lock on the blade, is illegal. So with the use of knives such as this, we have to be very careful in the UK. We stick to current laws, because the police in this country are absolutely shit hot on them. Okay, we're going to carry on now looking at these excellent knives from Stuart, and I hope you enjoy, guys. Okay folks, we're going to look now at the selection of some of the latest work from Stuart and some of the things he's produced. And an item here, this beautiful tomahawk, which I picked out to go with my medieval garb, lack of a better word, costume. with the medieval crossbows. So we are looking now when Stuart's going to talk us through some of his knives now as we come across. Now look at this Bowie you made. What's your...
This one is a work in progress.
Okay.
There's some more finishing to do just to finish the polishing, basically. Wax the handle up, and I've got to put an edge on it yet. I'm working on it at the moment. It's for a guy who lives over the road, wants a large / fishing bait and hunting knife, but he specified he wanted a Bowie style blade, so it's a bit of a departure for me. So that's my first in that style. The blade's actually quite interesting because it's out of a Victorian Reaper binder machine. It was a straight blade, like a long lawnmower blade, and I managed to cut it down, and I might get 2 blades that size out of it.
So you got a good edge on it.
Well, it's not edged yet, but I don't like, you know, while I'm still working on it, I don't put a final edge on them.
Right.
I've learnt that the hard way.
So you can see how she's coming now. That's really nice.
Yeah, the bevel's there, it's just not got an edge on yet.
Nice, it's a nice clip. Is that called? Was it called a clip? What kind of point? That clip point?
A clip, isn't it? Yeah. Like I said, I don't make many in that style, but it was requested, the blade that shape. So I'm giving it a go. Yeah. And this one reminds me of a Japanese style. Like you said, it's a mini. Well, I suppose Natas roughly are that shape, aren't they? But yeah, that was really modelled after a sort of Anglo-Saxon Iron Age period sax. That was actually a very rusted Georgian meat cleaver.
Oh, never.
At one point.
You can see the patina, but the patina actually suits the blade.
Well,
really
the hammer
nice.
marks are still there from the original smith a couple of 100 years ago who knocked out the cleaver.
Wow.
But I am lucky round here in that, being in the middle of the Somerset countryside, it's quite... It's not hard to find old edged tools that aren't wanted anymore.
And is that bone on the handle?
That's a antler rosette.
Oh, okay.
From the bottom of the stag's antler, and the handle is... that handle's actually hickory, because that was off a friend's axe who I inherited his tools, and he's not here anymore, so I thought I'll repurpose that and it'll go on there.
But the weight to the blade, that's a real
I do tend to use that a lot while bow making.
Yeah,
it's good for, you know, roughing out the shape of the bow, or even with the axe handles as well, as a starter tool before you go down to a spoke shave and then sanding.
Okay, right there, folks. Now this one is pretty exciting for me. This is one of Stuart's axes, and I've been lucky. Very fortunate. I feel very honoured. I'm going to cut away my own shadow. And this beautiful, beautiful axe here Stuart has created. And for some of the work he's done, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. The finish on the handle and the axe, that is absolutely stunning.
And that's actually an elm handle, but it was the offcut from my bow. Elm is a fantastic wood for making tool handles with, on the grounds of its density and the complication inside it. It makes it a very tough wood. It was used for wagon wheel bosses.
Oh yeah. In
the medieval period and later, because of its toughness from any direction.
Okay. Like I said.
Sorry.
No, you carry on, it's interesting.
The head itself again is cut down from a larger Kent pattern axe, which are very common round here. You can pick them up at car boots for like £2–3 a piece. And I've copied a Sheffield trade axe pattern that were exported in the oodles to America without handles.
Wow. In
the 1840s to 60s, I think. They changed slightly later, but that's a copy of that shape. Wow. So that's why it looks like a tomahawk, because most tomahawk heads were actually made in either Manchester, Birmingham or Sheffield.
Until he got
and shipped out as trade goods.
Until he got so it would have been like the old trading posts out in...
Yeah, basically like they brought China back from China as ballast on the voyages, they would take axe heads and trade knife blades as ballast on the way out to America.
Wow. Right then guys, we've been through the table now looking at some of Stuart's amazing metalwork skills and making the handles and his woodworkmanship. But what we're going to look at now is something which he totally blown me away with, is the quality of his bowyer work. We got here now on the table 2 samples of Stuart's excellent work, and we're going to look through them now, and Stuart's going to talk us through some of the process, what he does, how he selects his wood, etc. And something which I'm blown away by. Stuart offered me himself a few weeks ago one of his handmade bows, which he's in the process of creating at the moment. And it is a creation because this is something that the workmanship is so fine that one way, either way, can totally change the characteristics and handling of the bow. Running. Okay, Stu, which are the first 2 bows you want to start with?
Right, well, this is actually the first bow I made I was actually happy with.
Okay.
It was this is elm, which is one of what was called the poor woods. For every bow that you made out of yew,
Yeah.
You as a bowman, as a bow maker,
Yeah.
in the medieval period, you were expected to make several out of poor wood.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And poor woods were poor woods were elm, hazel and ash. And so many of the longbows, by no means all of the longbows or bows you see in medieval history and later were yew, because they weren't. Elm makes a very, very good bow, the equal of yew in fact, having shot both, but it is harder to work because you're not working with a heartwood and a sapwood that you can actually see, and selecting a piece of wood is most of the work with elm.
All right. Now you said 7 of 8 would have been a cheap bow or a lower quality bow.
They're called the poor woods because they're local woods, and they weren't imported, whereas most of the yew was imported mainly from Spain, I think.
Now those particular bows, would they been like for new archers, training archers?
No, any archer could carry an elm bow. Okay. And they were very popular. You know, an elm bow will take a little bit more of a battering than a yew bow, but a yew bow is easier to make a consistent yew bow than it is with elm.
Right, okay.
Although elm will make a tougher bow, and this one pulls about 80 pounds at 30 inches, possibly over that. So, you know, it is a good bow wood. It's a really good bow wood, but just not as nice to work with as yew. Right,
okay. Now, when we look at some of your fine work, some of your knocks on the front, now look at the knocks here now. As you can see, guys, I'll bring it up the camera. So it's beautiful finish on those, and it's such a fine detail as well to get the knock for the wood. I'll come back to the camera, but I'm sorry guys. You get such a fine detail for the knock on the wood. This isn't something that's easy, because this is actually pulling back on at least, like Stuart said, 80 pounds on the knock, split amongst the two, so that's about 40 pounds per knock. Now when you're making your bow, Stu, I noticed that you got you have your arrow rest for here, but how do you choose when you're making the bow, the top and the bottom?
I don't choose. The piece of wood choose.
Okay.
The stave chooses. The stave I start work on is usually a good foot longer either end than the bow is going to end up being.
Right.
And obviously with this one we've got quite hefty knots there.
Yeah.
So it's in the fattest part of the bow.
Right, okay. So because of the, when you're looking at the wood then, and with the knot in the wood, obviously that's why you've chosen to go with a shelf in this position here, not gone.
No, I've measured it for myself where I want, for me, my arrow to sit.
Right,
and,
okay, yeah.
I imagine most bow makers would have done that.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're churning out as many U-bows as possible because we're at war with the French, bows would have been personalised, measured for you. And I imagine the Vitruvian Man diagram, you know, the Leonardo da Vinci man of Panorama. I imagine that the mathematics from that were used to work out where your handle should be, if you're a certain height, certain arm length, yada yada yada. And people that, you know, this is going to be an expensive item if you'd bought it back in the day, so people would have wanted a degree of personalisation. This is not a traditional English bow by any means, it's more like a medieval Italian hunting bow.
Okay,
but I have no intention of shooting knights in chainmail, so I don't need a £140 bow.
So this would be more of a kind of bow which have been used, say, late Roman era?
Yeah, late Roman up to medieval and beyond, but not as a war bow, as a hunting bow.
Right, okay. So
and it's more of a continental style than an English style.
So it's been used for more like hunting in woods and...
Yeah, anyway, you'd be taking birds with blunts with it, small game. And obviously you could, at £80, it's more than capable of being used for home defence should the bandits turn up.
Right, yes, I'm with you, yeah. Because obviously the sheriffs, then, this is what a lot of people don't realise is, in the towns, etc., they was self-policing. For every 10 people, there was a provost. And outside of that, for every town in an area was a sheriff. The sheriff could have used his own people, which is often outlaws. The sheriff would use them because it could be traced back to him. Well, just like in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where he used outlaws, it was very common for the police to use criminals to do their dirty work. Something which has not changed today. Go and ask the Prime Minister.
And of course, every man was, or every freeman in large areas of medieval Europe, responsible, had to keep weapons. You know, he had to, you know. So if this being an Italian style bow, barring the handle, if you were in Turin and you got surrounded by, I don't know, invading English mercenaries, you would be expected to turn up with your bill hook or your large knife and your bow and turn out on the town walls. Because
this bow here, which you spoke to me about off camera, you said, although it's your good wife's bow, it wouldn't necessarily be so. It could have been for a small. It wasn't like it is today. This is a man's bow. This is a woman's bow. It was designed and built to the person that could handle that weapon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, any child to teenager to woman to someone who, even the man of the house, if he's popping out to get a rabbit or he's picked up the blunts and is going to get a pigeon, then that bow is perfectly capable. It only pulls about 25 to 30 pounds, but that's more than adequate for any small game. And with a broadhead arrow on it at full draw, unless you've got armour on, it's going to ruin your day as well. Yeah,
it is. There's a lot of people don't realise. A lot of these large bows by the likes of Joe Gibbs, which are put out 150, 180 pounds, often required decades of training. We're talking from the age of 7, 8 years of age, from a small bow, up to about 25, 30 years of age. And all that training was for naught, just by one wry arrow taking you out. So it was very often that a lot of the time, a lot of the bows of the era would have been 80 pounds or less, and not necessarily the high poundage bows we're all about on most of the YouTube channels. Because we're the more inclusive, caring, sharing channel. So what we got here is then, so this would not necessarily been a lady's bow, this would have been a...
it's a short hunting bow is what it would have been at the time for small game.
So a small hunting bow with this beautifully crafted leather handle. You're going to come in by here. Anything significant about the handles too?
No, I don't normally put handles on my bows, but the other half decided she'd like one, so she got that one. But yeah, this is a cherry wood bow, which is quite unusual outside of Japan.
That's what I was going to ask, because I can see the difference in the grain between the two. It's a very, very, bring it up here ladies and gentlemen, it's a very, very fine grain. This is a very slow growing wood,
And if anybody wants to make a cherry bow, I suggest you find a bit that has very close together growth lines, because it's a very fragile wood.
Oh yeah.
In certain ways. Much less forgiving than working with elm or yew.
We got a quick look at the knocks on the end, because what would we be using for those? Because they're beautiful. It's like a red.
Well, both of the knocks on both the bows are actually made out of an old shotgun stock.
No.
I'm lucky enough to be able to get my hands on lots of bits of cut up shotguns due to part-time work in a gun shop, and that's hard wood, harder wood than either the cherry or the elm, so it protects the actual bow from the running of the string against it from erosion. And anyone who thinks paracord doesn't make a good string should check out a video by Kramer Ammons at Shatterproof Archery, where he tests medieval bowstrings against paracord and against modern bowstrings, and paracord is a more than adequate bowstring.
Now I've seen some of Kramer's videos myself, and they really are. Some of the bows he turns
Oh,
out.
he's a cracking bowyer. He really, no pretension about him either.
And what he can make from a bow, from pieces of laminate wood.
Exactly.
I've never seen it done before.
He's a very skilled man.
He's very talented. Well, Stu, thank you for our lovely revealing little visit to your workshop.
Thank you.
And I'll shake your hand.
Thank you for having me.
Okay then guys, if you enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe. This has been one of the most fascinating afternoons I've had with Stuart. This lovely guy, and some of his craftsmanship is excellent. If you want to be featured on the channel, hit the old like and subscribe, say hello below, and show me what you can do with your ways. I'm coming back. I'll be visiting Stuart again in a few weeks time, so I'll look at how he's progressing with the bow he's making.
Finished, fingers crossed.
Finished, fingers crossed by then. And guys, thanks and bye bye.